Good morning. Happy Saturday. So I had big plans this morning to do some comic book screening, but let me show you what happened here. My cat just got up in the exact spot that I need to put the books down. So I'm going to give him a minute to just enjoy this while I get ready, and then we'll move him. There he is. Get him in there. Okay. So you're going to have to go, buddy. Yeah, you're going to have to go. All right, so what are we doing here today? I have a few books left over from this Things from Another World. Here, let me get this going. There we go. I have this Things from Another World order that I've been going through. I'm really quite behind on organizing my orders here, so I am going to have to catch up a little bit. And so normally over the weekend, I would spend this time getting ready for the weekly weekend Sunday Monday Heritage auction, but I've been buying a lot more recently than I have been organizing. So I need to catch up, and I'm almost done. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got about 8 books here towards the end, and I think a few at the beginning. Some random ones here, some BRZRKR issues that I'll probably go through. So that's the plan for this morning. So appreciate if you're here hanging out. If you are, leave me a note in the chat. And if you have any questions about what I'm doing, let me know. All right, so I'm going to have, this is going to be interesting because here, I'll get this on the camera. He thinks he's here for his nap or something. I don't know, or to play. But I've got to gently find a way to get him off here without him biting me or drawing blood. So, yeah, I know, you're a bad boy. He keeps trying to bite me. Here, let me just... Okay, this is going to be very interesting. So you thought, like, me unboxing videos was dangerous. It's actually, this is way more dangerous, trying to get the cat off the desk. So, hey, why don't you just move over here? Yeah, he does not. There, he just bit me twice. Okay, you're out of here. This is going to be nearly impossible. He's just going at it. I'm just gonna have to let him bite me just to get him off the desk. Come on. He is not moving. He's being super stubborn. There we go. Okay, we got him. Finally. All right, you're out of here, buddy. So, before I jump into the Things from Another World items, if you saw my video that came out yesterday or day before, I think it was yesterday morning. It had to do with, I'll just go on the webcam, no reason to look at a blank desk. It had to do with Young Avengers, and I essentially have 2 areas in my collection, physical locations, where I've got my I hate to say my COVID collection, but the collection of comics since 2019. I forget what month I came back to the hobby, but sometime in 2019 I came back. But I had, and the quick story, and I may have told it before, but the quick story is I had all of the best intentions of the world of going through my older collection and consolidating and selling off and being done with it. But when I started going through the collection, I caught the collecting bug again and started buying. And I think I want to say it probably quadrupled my original collection just in the last 2 years. So something about great power comes great responsibility. There's probably a line in there or a variation of that unfortunately took me over. But I got the collecting bug again. So I tell you that because my what I would say my current, I don't want to say modern because I mean, modern could be 90s. My current collection from the last books that I've purchased over the last couple of years, they're very well organized. They're all in Go Collect and Cover Price and so forth. But my previous collection, or my pre-COVID collection, is still in cardboard short boxes, and I've got a lot of great books in there. And honestly, I should shop at my own collection, but I was going through Young Avengers, so that was a long-winded 3 or 4 minute explanation to tell you that I pulled out my Young Avengers 1 through 12, the books I have left raw. I've got a couple over here that are graded, another graded that's in a different bin. Books back here for Hawkeye that also are going back. This, you could see there's Young Avengers 9 back there. So anyway, these are sort of the leftovers, which does not mean that these are bad books. It just means that I'm not sending these off for grading. So yeah, and I've got some hair sticking up. So thank you for that. So I'm going to go through these. I've got Young Avengers 3, 4, it's like 7, 8, and 11. So I'm going to start off with those. I think those are a bit more interesting because these are from 2008 and just slightly different paper quality. See how they held up, see if I want to rebag and reboard these. Also, what's interesting too is to see the value. And also we're going to skip over entering them into the spreadsheet. I don't put personal collection items in there because I don't have the data. I mean, essentially, I paid cover price at the time, but don't remember exactly where I bought them. And I mean, I'm so old. Did they even have spreadsheets back then? But Rimshot. Okay. So let me get, now that the cat's out of the way, that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen and grade. And I'm having trouble trying to decide if this is actually screening or grading. Does it matter? I don't know what the industry term is here, but anywho, let me get this going, and we'll just go in order, starting with 3. I think 4 is just a fantastic cover with Kang, so we'll get there. All right, so let's get cables and stuff, get that out of the way for you. All right. So I'm pretty sure I did get these from Midtown just because of the resealable bags. I never buy these resealable bags. I just don't. Must be just the old school collector in me that just prefers the standard bag with tape. So first thing I'll notice here is, and I'm trying a different angle to try and get some better light for you to see here. So if this isn't working, I'll make an adjustment some other time. But this is the angle we're going to go with. Now, most of these I talked about how I read all of these and held them in such a way. And boy, I'm so great at preserving comics and stuff like that. But, you know, here's the true test. We're actually going to look at these. So corner looks all right. Not too bad. Spine. Spine looks okay. I'm seeing something right up in there. Yeah, right there. So that's definitely a spine tick. I think that could come out. It's not color breaking, but it's almost like just a paper wrinkle. Definitely some stuff on the top. So if we look across the top edge there, it's very subtle. Again, trying to get the right angles with the light. But here, let me back it up. Yeah, right there above Young, you could see that little fold. Again, very pressable. So it's going to get that pressing indicator from me for sure, but everything else, it's just some weird bumping of the page. Right there's a little bit more. And we've turned this around, and I noticed some on the bottom here as well, I think. Where'd you go? Oh, no, it was at the top. Same thing. Right there. Let me back this up a little bit. See if we can get something. Yeah. just a better look. But anyway, there is some another sort of bump or fold right there. So just sort of counting them up. One. This is quite a long issue. I mean, this is screaming 9.4, 9.2 already. Let's check the back out. Just kind of moving it back and forth in the light. You can see right there. I just saw it. It's like some sort of, almost like somebody sat a glass of something or a coffee mug, and it just made this circular indent on the back. So what I'm excited about is this book is very pressable. Unfortunately, as is, it has quite a few defects, but they're all those sort of folds and dents. So that's actually quite exciting because we can get those out. Kind of just wrapped around from the front right there is the spine tick. So what I would do with this is take the tack iron and go to work on it. But I'm looking at it as it's in that 8.5 to 9.2 range. And I always look back at some of the books I have that are 8.5s, and it's hard because it's a different era. This is definitely glossy and not newspaperish. The one thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and give it a fresh bag and board, just because these have, it's been in these bags and boards since I bought them. So we're talking about whatever it was, 2008, I think I said, is when these came out. All right, so I think I'm leaning 9 in a press. It's pretty sharp otherwise. I feel like I want to, again, I'm trying not to grade it on potential, but I was going to say 9.2 with the press because I feel like it could be pressed up into a 9.8, but it's a bit wrinkly and worn, more so than I thought these Young Avengers books had. I think I'm going to press it anyway, so it probably doesn't matter all too much, but I think I'm going to go with the 9. And the reason I went with a 9 is mainly because of this stretch at the top here. Right up in here, what is that, like 2 or 3 inches across of that fold right there. So that's what I'm concerned about. It's just too long. Okay. Usually being too long is not a problem, but for comics it is. Okay. And this cat brought some remnants of things in here, which I love too. Stuff gets on this desk. So that's another thing is you want to make sure your surface is pretty clean as best you can. I was thinking of moving that my X-Acto sheet over here. It's just too, again, it's too big, which, you know, typically is not bad, but I don't have the desk space to put that over here. So let me rebag and board this real quick, and then I'll get this added to the systems. Now, I don't, oh, the cat's coming back. So if he jumps up here again, he's going to be, no, please don't. Okay, he came back. So you're going to have to move again because this is right where I need to be. And you are not getting cat hairs and, you know, broken nails and whatever else you're bringing in here. Can't do it. So you're going to have to go again, which you're not going to like. So I need you to get down again. Come on. Be nice. Let's go. Let's go. There you go. Okay. Very gentle. Down you go. All right. He's very stubborn and persistent, so I'm sure he'll be back. All right. So this is bagged and board. I gave it a 9. I'm trying to be fair, not emotional. I trust my skills on this book to go into the press and get up to a 9.8, but I have to go with how it is right now. So let's go into Go Collect and Cover Price, and let me adjust the resolution so it's easier to see. And this is Young Avengers 3. Okay, and this will go in. Oh, and I don't have this list set up yet. Let me look over there. Yeah, I'm in the process of reorganizing my lists. And in a previous video, I talked about how you go over that $500 count issue list. You get this red label, and just Go Collect stops. And the cat came back. Go Collect stops. Go get rid of the cat for the third time. Go Collect stops displaying all of your items. It just caps at 500. So I realized that and learned that the hard way after I'd put all the books in there. So this is how I do it now. I say PC and then publisher. And then this one I have, it's just X-Men to Z is my last one. So that's going to obviously include things like X-Men Volume 2, X-Men Red, X-Men Gold, X-Men Annuals, and then any other Marvel titles that I have that start with Y or Z, which Young Avengers does. So save that. Now we should be able to go back. And let's just refresh it. So it should have the updated list now available to us. And there it is. So price paid, sometimes just for kicks, I'll put in the cover price. So $2.99. I'm sure I paid whatever the discount was for a pull list. And I'm going to assign the grade as 9. And I'm not putting the date acquired. I'll put Midtown. This doesn't really matter so much when I'm going through the piece. It's just that from a different era. It's I don't have 50 issues to deal with of Young Avengers 3. It's just the one, so I know which one it is. So it just doesn't have. I just don't have the data. Didn't capture it back then. All right, now cover price. Young Avengers 3. And I didn't include this in that Kate Bishop pack or whatever that I'm going to send to CGC. Hopefully today I'll be putting that shipment together. So it wasn't included in that. But again, like I said, it doesn't mean that these are not desirable books or worth cleaning up. Yeah, so these are the two books behind me. Young Avengers 1 and a 9.8 and 10 and a 9.8. This book has been, although it says it's down 1.1%, this book has climbed out of nowhere, selling between $400 and $500. And I think it's her best cover, Kate's best cover. She has others that are also very good. She's going to get all kinds of new covers coming. I've already seen for it's the new Kate Bishop Hawkeye limited series that's coming out, and there's going to be all kinds of variant covers, store exclusives on that are going to be amazing. So I'm looking forward to those. Interesting though, for Young Avengers 3, raw comic is about $6, graded is 100. It's a pretty substantial gap if you're looking at maybe snatching these up. So again, just for fun, I'm going to put $2.99. And I'll say Midtown. There's no report or anything that comes out of these systems in terms of like show me all the books that I got from Midtown that are 9.8. Like there's no such report. So you just kind of go with it. Okay, so next one. We'll try and go a little bit quicker too. It was a long time for one book. So I'll try and speed things up as we go. Young Avengers 4. This one is great. It's got Kang. Everyone went through and kind of promoted and hyped their favorite Kang covers. And there aren't really that many that are standouts, so they were pulling some really weird and awful looking covers. And I never saw this one get mentioned because I think sometimes the speculators say, well, this book already has value. I want to find like dirt cheap dollar bin flea market books and then hype it so I can make more money. I wouldn't. They don't want to buy this book for $10 or $20 since it already has value, because then they can't score 20 copies. So this one, right? Sorry, there I'm ranting. This one has a serious fold. I'll try and get it right in the light for you. Yeah, I think right there. So that has a pretty serious fold up and down. Again, exciting because I can go back into these older books that I have. Gosh, the art from Jim Chung in this whole series was just. This is what made me a Jim Chung fan. Like unbelievable art, just gorgeous. So this will have to be pressed, of course, but it's great. It's not color breaking, or there's no like drastic paper wrinkling or sandwiching or whatever, crunching. Same thing here. The only thing is I would want to flip through and just make sure there's no insert before I do that. I don't think there was. But yeah, right here on the edge too, same thing. Now this one's pretty bad. So I'm already thinking this is going to be in the 7s or 8s. The great thing is the corner is sharp there. So is this one. That's a good looking corner there. There's not even any whitening on these. No splitting whatsoever. On the back, I don't see that that coaster or whatever circle that I had previously. Again, some issue there. Let's get that in the light right there. So you can see that definitely needs some improvement down here in this corner. There's some wrinkling there. Again, what's great, I see no color breaking issues at all. So that's wonderful. At this point, my concern is I'm adding fingerprints, and then on this side, just to round it out, lots of stuff happening down here in this corner, same issue. So again, lots of potential to improve this one. That's wonderful. That's great news. However, going back into the collection with a grade on it, I got to be fair. So now, is that a 7.5? I don't think so. 7.5s are pretty bad, pretty beat up. I'm going to give this one an 8. And I think that's completely fair. And the cat is back. So now the cat tries to get smart. He goes back around the other side to try and come out. Because like most cats, they think they're smarter than we are. Which is true, but at least I know what his tricks are. Yep, so here he comes from this direction. Now watch this, right? So now he's coming that way. And yep, tail gets on the camera, and now he's back in the same spot. And now you're going to start rubbing on these books. Same story with you. I don't know what his favorite character is. I should ask him. But I'm not really interested in his opinion. So, fresh bag and board, always great to redo these, but that is going to go into my pile to take a look at for pressing. I'm just kidding. I don't have a pressing pile. You see those comic book pressers, and I got a stack of books I need to press, and they're all just like mashed on top of one another. I'm like, nah. They'll just go into the collection for now. And then if I feel like, kind of like with the Kate Bishop books, right? So now I've amassed a nice stack of books, and at that point, that's when I decide which books I'll press. So this is Young Avengers 4. Fair market value on that, I think I saw it. It was, what was it, $45, $50? Let's look at that for a second. Yeah, $55 last sold a year ago. It's just the hype crew didn't pick this book as a great Kang cover. I don't know what else to say. You're either on the train or you're not. Comic books. Okay. Young Avengers 4. I gave it very fine 8. Let's see. Cover price has this one. Now, it is nice, the raw book. Look at that, up 17.5%. So maybe some people are circling back at this point and looking at this as a $20 book. $2.99. Okay, so that's in there, ready to go. Now I don't know how on earth I'm gonna do this. He just wants to sleep. The problem is, as I start grading these, then he's gonna reach up and try and bite it. Well, let's see. I'll try and do my best. So the next one we're going to look at here is Young Avengers 7. Kind of an odd, I didn't notice this before, but kind of a different hairstyle for Kate. Just kind of an odd location for her down there on the cover. But that is her. I thought 9 was supposed to be the first Kate Bishop cover appearance. Or maybe this is considered another partial because it's just half of her body. I swear I don't understand all of the rules that everybody makes up. Because she's partial on 5, I guess partial on 7. Who knows? So just kind of flipping through. I don't think Chung did the interiors on this one. Andrea DeVito was the penciler on this. So top part looks pretty good. I just say like kind of I still do that like initial assessment where I need to hold the book just as is before I start like looking at the particulars. And it felt like the potential to be a 9.8 at least. That I'm just kind of eyeballing that corner up there. I think it's okay. Yeah, it's just a little soft. I'd say it's acceptable. Spine looks good. A little bit of a dent right here. See that in the light as I go up and down. Right there by Patriot. Not bad otherwise. None of those like thumbnail kind of mashed edges anywhere like the other books had. Nothing up and down this. That's pretty clean. Standard paper wrinkling, I would say. Nothing. It's not even pressable. So this one probably is a 9.8. giving it, usually as soon as I say the grade, that's usually when I find the issues, the other defects. But this is nice. This is really nice. Very clean. I don't believe that little slight dent there is going to. I'm going to zoom in. Zoom in. I'm going to get closer. Boy, need a little more coffee. I'm just trying to decide how severe that dent is. Get a little closer. I'll be honest that Department of Truth, I'm looking at it right now up on the wall. The Department of Truth #1, the Jenny Frison variant, as a 9.8. I can't see it from this distance. It looks solid red, looks gorgeous. But if I hold the slab up close and I angle it in the light, it has the exact same thing. Now, it doesn't mean that, well, books that have that are always going to get a 9.8, right? It depends on the book. But if that's the only defect and everything else is crisp, it's a 9.8. So again, I try to, when I get the slabs back, I try to look at them and examine as much as I can in the slab to learn from it. And it's an eyesore if you go up and look at the slab itself. So that's a little disappointing to me, but I just try not to get that close. I mean, I wear glasses, so sometimes I'll take the glasses off and it looks like a gorgeous slab. So I'm putting 9.8 on here on the board. I think I'm due for... No, I have one pack left of supplies. I'm kind of running into a supply issue. And it's not a problem. It's just I have to make a decision on what I want to do. So I have probably a dozen of the cardboard short boxes sitting around, and they're kind of stacked. And they're easy to get to, easy to move around, but I've been replacing a lot of them with the hard plastic bins. And I need to order some more, but I'm just not sure where to... I'm not sure what bins I want to consolidate. And I have to go through that and figure out what I want to do there. Anywho, that is my problem, not yours. Young Avengers 7. But I'm curious, like, what do you do when you run into those space issues? Because there's not there's an infinite number of comic books, but there's not an infinite amount of space in storage. And I love having all of my comics where I have them, and don't want to... Well, I can't put them in other rooms or other areas of their house or other storage units because that's where they are. Okay, so CGC 9.8. I'm happy with this one getting a 9.8 as is. I don't think I need to do any pressing. I didn't even stop to look what the fair market value is on Young Avengers 7. Sale history. $64 back in March was a reported sale. Going to be a lot of trouble to send that book off to make $20, but you could if you wanted. And I just said Avengers 7, Young Avengers 7. There we go. There's something about adding my older books to the new modern collection systems like this. It's a lot of fun. So this one has a greater fair market value than 3. Interesting. And again, probably because we're getting more Kate Bishop in these than not. Getting her closer to Hawkeye here. God, the Young Avengers story is so good. I know the MCU, they're not going to do that specific story in the MCU exactly as it played out, just because I just know they're just not going to have all the same characters lined up so perfectly. But man, it would be pretty cool if they at least came close. And they've got the characters. They've got Patriot. They've got Hawkeye. Stature's coming. The Iron Lad one is interesting. Kid Loki. They could all kind of jump in here and play a part. Wiccan Speed. Kid Loki's not here, but I mean, like, we've got a lot. Kid Loki could be the antagonist, whereas Loki was as Loki was for the Avengers. But anyway, all right. So that's that. All right, we are really working hard this morning to make sure the cat doesn't get into these. This is Young Avengers 8. So this is an awesome cover. And again, this didn't... nobody talked about this that I saw during Falcon and Winter Soldier, where we had Isaiah and Josiah Bradley, I think. Like, how awesome is that in the background there? So, a bit of foreshadowing, I guess, for where things are going. Get this out of that bowl. I hate that. You know what it is? Well, the bags are cheap anyway because they split. I hate the sound, the tearing sound that thing makes. Okay, so first assessment, just kind of holding the book the way it is. It's not a 9/8. It definitely has some folding and some wrinkling that needs some attention. So right here, up and down the spine, we've got definitely a curling problem that exists. So that other book we gave an 8.2. Yeah, that one feels very similar, except I'm not seeing the issues on the corners. Like, that corner is very clean, but a little bit of edge folding. This corner down here looks really good, so I don't feel like it's gonna get an 8, but we'll see. We'll keep going. Down here again, corner's very clean. It's mainly just this fold that's going up and down. Right there's a little bit of an issue too. So again, I would take the tack iron right there first, just a little humidity, relax that, then humidity up and down this spine, and then drop it in the press, and it's good to go. Now, on the back, again, similar issues, but these would also just come out with the press right there. Same thing, nice, nasty fold. However, as I'm looking at this, I don't see any particular issues with the corners yet. Nothing there. Right here, I'm starting to see some stuff. Also, if you hear snoring, it's not me. It is the cat. He did fall asleep. This is pretty bad. So that also would have to be attacked with humidity. This corner is concerning. It is a little soft there, but I don't know how bad that is. It looks like it's naturally just splitting. That's tough. I think I want to go 8.5. It feels a little bit better and trying to remain consistent. 8.5 with a press. It definitely has some warping on the back and right in here, but otherwise pretty solid book, and the edges are super crisp. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one an 8.5. You know, a lot of these I feel like what's happening is I'm not even being, I don't want to say honest or fair. I certainly feel like I am with the grades that I assign books. But when it comes to the pressing indicator, I just feel like every book I have is going to be pressed. So it's like on one hand, it's like, why bother? Why bother calling that out? Because they all need a press. I mean, not all. I'd say the previous book that we looked at, that it didn't need one. But then it's like, but should you anyway? Like if that book's spiked for some reason, the Young Avengers, you know, 3-movie deal was just made. Alan Heinberg to come back and, you know, do the plot and help write the script for that. Like all those Young Avengers books would just take off, right? So then you'd say to yourself, well, I'm pretty sure it's a 9.8, but if I could say pretty sure, then that means you're not 100% sure, and then you'd press it anyway. So then what's the point of putting down that designation? But it's more useful, I think, with modern books, because all of these older books really, if you have them in your collection, I think they deserve to be pressed. So I said that was an 8.5. Probably Midtown. I'm just guessing this is Midtown because of the bags and boards. Trying to preserve some sort of historical record there. Young Avengers 8. I forgot the issue number. There we go. 8. 8.5. Very fine plus 8.5. Yeah, $10 book. Boy, if you love the Captain America, Patriot, Isaiah Bradley like connection there, you have to have this cover. I mean, that's just great. I love that in the reflection in the water. Love it. Just great. Okay, I don't know when I purchased that. I assume on release. Midtown. Okay. All right. Last Young Avengers book from the PC is this one. It is Young Avengers 11. So if you're a partial cover of Kate Bishop collector, here's another one for you. But really, God, I love the dynamics. This is another great Jim Chung cover. You have the cover with Wiccan there, and then some of the other members of the Young Avengers in different. You've got Iron Lad going crazy at the top, Stature here, Hulkling kind of reaching through. There's Kate. Just awesome. Such good work. So let's get 11 open out of this bag and board. Okay. So this feels like the other issue, although, yeah. I was going to say, it feels like that 9.8 candidate, but then this one's going to be tough to see, but right in here, let's move it back and forth on the light so you can see, right? I can't get it in there, but there's a scratch. It's hard for me to even see in person, so I don't know if I can get it on camera, but yeah, there it is. You can kind of see it right there. That's a scratch. And as I know from my infamous Canto 9.0, scratches are devastating to the grade. Now that I don't have the scratch going all the way up and down, but if a 9 is all the way up and down, halfway is it a 9.2, 9.4? Let's say it's a 9.4. So 9.6 is probably the most you'll get out of this, probably, because of that scratch. But even then, it has to be perfect, and I'm sure this book is not perfect. It looks Looks decent though. Corner's nice and sharp. No spine ticks whatsoever. That's too bad that scratch exists, because this is a very, very good looking book otherwise. I'm just kind of turning it around, going along the edge there. Corner looks good. Man. So this would have been a 9.8. I don't see any other issues with it. No defects. Of course, on the back, I did spot one here. Again, it's kind of that, like that folding crunch, like that you'd see, like it just sat at just the wrong angle in your short box, and just crunched itself a little bit. Down here has got an issue as well. Probably pressable. A little bit of a dent on this right there. So I've got the scratch, and I said if it was an absolutely perfect comic with the scratch, it would be a 9.6. I'm giving this one a 9.2. I think the general assessment of the book is that it's probably a 9.6 with a press without the scratch. So I'm putting it down as a 9.2. I don't believe that the scratch itself would pull the book all the way down, as a very fine. But yeah, that's a grader's going to see this book at CGC and go, see, they missed that scratch. I'm going to get them. I'm going to make it a 9.4 because they're a dummy. They didn't see the scratch or something. I don't know what I'm talking about. But so that's Young Avengers 11 in a 9.2. Let's see what we got here on the desktop. And this cat, he's awake, but he is not moving. Young Avengers 11. And 9.2. So I'm definitely going to look at those books that I want to send in to CGC that are related to Kate, or more closely related to Kate, I should say, than these books we just looked at. But it's most likely, I have 4, it's most likely that they're not going to be 9/8, like no-brainers, like I think I was bragging about in the video where I talked about putting books together for CGC. They're probably all going to have similar issues to this. But again, good thing is that they're pressable. Bad thing is I've got my work cut out for me before I can send all of those in. And I think that's what I'm trying to decide is, do I just take the best of the best out of those and then set the rest aside for pressing and send those later? Maybe. All right, so this one has a fair market value. It's very interesting. So the Go Collect 9.8 fair market value was one of the higher Young Avengers books. And it could be the fact that there's it's a darker cover, maybe some challenges there. And I think it's an estimate. So it sold a year ago in a 9.6 for $80. Although that's weird. It doesn't have... Oh, maybe it must be estimating from the 8.5. So it does a calculation and just assumes like, okay, if an 8.5 sold for 50, then a 9.8 must be 120. So not accurate. It's more of a projection. But not too many in the census here. There are only 8 9.8s. Well, I don't have a 9.8 anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. Purchase date, I don't know. Midtown in a 9.2. And so that completes the issues I'm going to go through from my PC. Now we'll jump ahead, and I have no idea how I'm going to do this with this animal here. You may have to go. Again, you're kind of being mean now. Yeah, his claws are out and everything. You're going to scratch one of these books, aren't you? Yeah, you're going to have to go. Why are you so mean this morning? Why? This is right where I need to be. Okay. Can you just go? Okay. He got down on his own that time. Very good. All right. Now, what do I have left? I do have a handful of books left over from Things from Another World that I'm trying to get through. So let's see what these look like. I've got to take that nice... oh, 1 second. All right, I got thrown off with the cat there. This is live, so no editing or distractions from the cat. They all make it in there. All right, so these stickers, can't stand them. Put those aside. And gosh, it's like I have all the room in the world now. I have my whole desk back. Okay, so let's take this out. So this book is Star Wars 14 with that War of the Bounty Hunters trade dress over the top of the Star Wars logo. Pretty cool Lando cover. I like that. So just looking at it, looks really clean. Really, really clean. There's a weird color scratching thing over the barcode, though. So again, I'm hyper aware and sensitive around any sort of scratching. Trying to look at this a little closer. It's definitely dirty or got something there, so I'm not going to give it a 9.8 just because of that, but probably a 9.6. Yeah, it's super clean all the way around. Yeah, really, really nice. There's a little bit of a thing here, but I'd say that's related to the staple, but not too bad. That's manufactured and very subtle. So 9.6. So these Tefal bags and boards, they're very thin, but they're at least a good size. So I keep them. I don't rebag and board. The other painful part is Things from Another World. They make you pay for those, which I understand. Some do, some don't. They do. And I feel like it's absolutely crucial that those new books that you get from them have the bag and boards. There's no way that many books can make it to your place of residence safely without the bags and boards. I can't imagine, and I don't even want to do it as an experiment. I don't even want to think about it. Okay, so this I have to shift. So this one goes in this bin. $9.6. Okay, date acquired. Let's go back to the spreadsheet. When did I order this one? Let me move this here for a sec. Some of these columns I hide to keep the spreadsheet from being too wide, but then I hid too many columns. So now let's put this back. So June 30th. And we're right here on this issue, June 30th. And that, I mean, we are on the second half of September, and I am still putting away books from the end of June. Now, I always put the order date and not the receive date, because unless they cancel an order, to me, that's when I'm assuming possession of the book in terms of ownership. Plus, it's easier to track that way than trying to figure out what day it actually arrived at my house. Star Wars 14, 9/6. Okay. So I had a little bump, actually. Interesting. $6.25 sale a few days ago, week ago. 6:30. Most of these current Star Wars, they just sit at cover price. You can get them pretty much anytime you want. All right, so one thing to note, let me show you what we're looking at here. So this order from 6:30 right now has a 9.64 average for the, let me just make sure I've got my range set up correctly. Yeah, 5470. Don't get sick as I scroll. Okay, 5470 and 5560, so that's right. So we have an average grade of 9.64 of the books in this order so far, and just a touch over 55% have been 9.8s. There was 91 books in this order. And I order bi-weekly from them. So, yeah, 91 books in 2 weeks. It's crazy. This one was, this was the last of the, oh, I screwed up with how I was subscribing order, where I got every Spawn Universe cover. The painful one is I got every Jupiter's Legacy Requiem cover. Yeah. I just shoved those into a short box. I'm like, why are they even in here? I should just put them up on a lot on eBay for a 1 cent opening bid and get rid of them. And I may end up doing that. I may have to record a video just to explain my thoughts completely on this one. But my concern right now is the cost of storage. And it's a little bit of a hidden problem, I would say, among collectors, where you've got all of these little hidden issues or charges or whatever you want to call it, the things that you have to deal with to keep your collection organized. So forget like flipping and trying to recoup the costs of blah, blah, blah. Like bags and boards, right? So what is the cost of ordering from things from another world with a bag and board? And then what is the cost to replace it? What is the cost of a a fullback, and so on. So this is Berserker number 3, and this is the 25 copy incentive, which is essentially the same as the decal version, but without the trade. I'm kind of a sucker for decal, so when I saw that this was available without the trade dress, I jumped on it. Has a very, very, very subtle dent. You can kind of pick it up there. It's very subtle. Little bit of whitening on the corner. That's going to be tough because that's kind of an eyesore right down there. So right now we are borderline 9.8. Looks pretty good. It's holding strong as we turn this around. Oh, hey, sleeping. I, I didn't have my eyes on the chat. Yeah, I press on my own. So a lot of those books I know I can. And what's nice is I can't press everything. I'm not a pro yet, but a lot of times I'll see those just the basic folds, and I know with just a touch of humidity and using my press, those come out every time. It's some of the advanced corrections and cleaning I can't do on my own. So this book looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and give this a 9.8 before, and I'm starting to sweat on this one. So I may have just got a little fingerprint there on the back right there. Shoot. So that's what I have to be careful of. I forgot this is an all black cover. So I'm just going to put it down before I get do any more damage to this book. I will put it in a fullback because it's a 25 copy. So let me get that out. And with these fullbacks, again, I'm just taking the more rougher edge, and that goes in the back. So 9.8. Get a fresh bag. So I think what I was talking about too. Yeah, Sleepin says I commit box bags and boards too. Compute, yeah, it's definitely something that I want to look at, and I do look at that from, I would say, like an overall cost, but not. I think what I want to do is I want to analyze like the cost of storing books that don't really have value. I don't know how else to explain it, but in a book not having value, that might be different from collector to collector. But those Jupiter Legacy Requiem books is a good example for me. So those are thicker books, so essentially like double-sized books. So they're taking up a lot of space in the short box. They cost, I think they were like $5.99 cover or something like that. So they were quite expensive to begin with. Now they're taking up room in the short box. I don't believe that those particular books are going to have any long-term spec or value. I just completely whiffed on it. So now I have to buy another bin to split that short bin of image books, right? You see where I'm going with this. And I'm like, it might be more cost effective just to sell those books at a loss. Like Jupiter's Legacy Requiem #1 from Image it's just not going to, I'm not keeping it for 5 years. Right, opportunity cost versus possible future investment, right? And some books pop because, I forgot to switch to the desktop. Some books pop for weird reasons, and you can't be perfect. But if you've been doing this long enough, you sort of know, like, this book is just not, it's just not going to be worth anything. That book came out because Jupiter's Legacy was on Netflix, and they thought it was going to be like around for 8 seasons. It was canceled after 1, and it's done. So this is the decal version. This is the 1 in 25. So these are all the bins I'm dealing with. So this goes in that bin. And I'm giving it a 9.8. Acquired 630. And if you haven't seen me do this before, this is how I identify the book as being unique, from the date of purchase, the grade, and where I got it from. So that's why it's important to me that this go collect, even though it slows down a little bit from the data entry perspective. BRZRKR 3. All right. So here is so he has the regular, which is interesting, the fair market value on the regular cover A, according to cover price. Again, we don't know what's accurate here. $15. Yeah, I think this is just data, not being ingested into cover price correctly, because probably some of those $15 sales were the 1 in 25. And I've reached out to cover price about that too. I've said, like, there's no way. And they've written back and said, yeah, we're not able to understand the different, like, look at this. So this is the cover A, up 38.7%. This is wrong. There's no way. And then this one being $12. So they've basically explained that it's a challenge for them to track off of eBay, like when it's a 1 in 25, the virgin cover versus the regular cover variant. From Things from Another World. Yeah, Sleepin says, I only buy new non-key issues on pre-order, 35% off to limit my exposure. Right. Same thing. So the only difference there for me is I'm a sucker for the ratios. So if anybody wants to come in and lecture me about whether or not that pays off in the long run, I'm happy to listen, but I already know that it's just a sickness I have, but I can't stay away. So a lot of these, like you'll see here too, I've got another Berserker 3 25 copy. I don't know why at this point, but there's part of me too that, like, I feel like I would go back. Let's say Berserker becomes a movie or something. I would kind of do what I did, like with my Kate Bishop books. I'd go back through all of these. If this is a true 9.8, then this would go off to CGC, and then that cover A might be something that I sell. So that's sort of my thought process there. But there's something about grabbing the ratios on pre-order that is part of the it's part of the hunt, I think. Yeah, you got to buy what you like. It's collecting, right? So I like how you called it, it's collecting, and I called it a sickness. I'd like to really think it is collecting, but I just enjoy that. That's part of the hunt for me. I also don't like being told by the speculators and influencers after the fact that this ratio is the one to have, because they got all of them. So it's a little bit of FOMO in there too. But I like... and I don't buy all ratios, right? So we're talking about Decal, we're talking about Frizen, Star Wars, incentives, things like that. So those are the things that I typically buy. But obviously my pre-order subscription will immediately double, sometimes triple, once I start adding those incentives. So they're very expensive. Sleeping, you asked a question before too, how often do I send to CGC? It varies, and it really depends. What I try and do, I try and make sure that I have 2 orders that they've received. And then as soon as one of those orders is updated as graded and ready to ship, then that's when I send the next one. Now, I may have other orders in transit or sitting at their warehouse where they haven't received yet. So sometimes I'll send 1 or 2, during that time, and they're so backed up that, it's hard to really figure out how to time everything just right. But I try to make sure that I have 2 orders in their system that are scheduled for grading. And so once one of those moves out as graded, then I send the next order. This is Catwoman Annual, I was going to say number 1, but it's just the 2021 Annual. So let's look at this one here. So that corner, I think, is acceptable. A little bit of just a slight minor spine tick there. hard to get on camera. It's paper thin, but it's there nonetheless. Down here, and I'd say another acceptable. This is a bigger book, and I'm using my my claw or my fist. I'm hardcore. I send about 50 a year, one every 6 months. Yeah, I try and do like an order of somewhere between 8 and 12, and I probably send 6 to 8 over the course of a year. I think looking at last year, I probably did 7. And again, going back to that conversation I was having about the cost of storage, I'm looking over there. I've got 4 bins of CGC books and then all of these on the wall and stuff. And it's starting to become a storage issue where I have to think about the cost of being able to hold all of these, storage unit costs and all of this other stuff. I end up spending more to store and preserve the books that may not have that value. Now, of course, slab books, if you're doing a rough estimate, you're thinking those are $100 each, just on average, just to be fair. So those are definitely worth storing. So I'm looking at an issue right down here. There's definitely some folding here. So going back to that Young Avengers example where I had the fold going up about a quarter or a third, I think I was giving that a 9.2 or a 9.4. I feel like this book is a 9.4. Oh, shoot. So again, as soon as I give the grade out, I always find something else. So there's something up there to trying to get that right in the light. Anyway, there's another little ripple up at the top. So this is not a clean book by any stretch. It's weird. This cover is like it's not the same length of the book, so that's adding to part of the problem. It's like the whole cover, like it didn't wrap around the whole way. Yeah, the spine tick in a couple of it's a 9.4. It's a 9.4. I think it can be pressed. 80% of the slabs I sell. Yeah, that's smart. I was watching one of your videos. I don't know if it was your last one or it was one of the last couple that you put out. And you kept talking about that. It just sort of looking at the cost of things and trying to replenish and having the hobby fund itself and sort of along those lines. And yeah, I also have kind of a hoarding problem as a collector, as most comic collectors do, right? It's hard to let a book go. What I've been trying to do is I always try and include, right, about the slabs. I always try and include some books that I would want to sell. So in the last video that I have, the CGC unboxing, it was funny because it was not a book that I was really excited about sending, but I remember at the time thinking, if this one picks up any steam, I would end up selling it. So I try to include some books maybe that I don't have that emotional attachment to, so that I can just better let those books go. And I was having a issue a long time ago where, how am I going to find this Catwoman annual? There, oh, thank goodness. No number, 2021. I was having this struggle with collecting DC. I was getting burned out with DC. And I was pretty vocal on Twitter, like I'm done. And of course I've come back and I'm picking up DC books again because I'm a hypocrite. But I decided to send almost an all DC shipment out to CGC. So that when I got the books back, I'm like, I'm going to sell all of these because I'm done with DC. And of course, I didn't. But one of the books in there was Infinite Crisis 5. So that's the first Jamie Reyes Blue Beetle. And I have the whole Infinite Crisis run, both cover A and B, the Jim Lee covers and the George Perez covers. So that book came back at 9.8. I'm like, yeah, I got the Infinite Crisis, 9.8, yay. And I moved on to the next one. That one I sold, and that paid for everything. So I was super happy that here I am, now my brain's off. I'm not logging Infinite Crisis here. What book am I logging? Catwoman anyway. But that was one of those where that one slab paid for the entire shipment, and I had no seller's remorse on that one. Don't care about Blue Beetle. I have the George Perez one. I think that one's selling for something like $250 and a 9.8. So I may send that one in and just keep trying to replenish the cost there. So I'm trying to include books that I don't have that emotional attachment to. And that is, then I'm able to sell those books right. So Sleepin says it's tough to sell books you love. Right, and that's part of it. It's like I love all of my books, but you can't love all of them. You have to let some of them go. So I'm trying to get better at that. I'm trying to get better at finding books that maybe I don't love as much, to recoup some of the cost. Because if you're sending like 12 books to CGC every like 6 weeks or every couple of months, my God, the fees alone and everything, you're just eating into the value of everything. Things from Another World. And I'm hoping that with the reorganization of these Go Collect lists, I'm going to get better at identifying those books to sell more quickly and accurately. Because I hate those CGC shipments where you're like, why did I send this book in? And then you're sort of stuck with it. I did that early on where I got some image books where there was some option news and then you haven't heard from them and they came back a 9.6. And it's like that they go for like $35 and you're like, ugh. And then you're just stuck with them. Tough to sell a key from a run because now you don't have a full run. Right. Except I don't care about that run. I had this thing where I was like, I just don't want to deal with DC anymore. So I was like, I don't care about the DC runs. I don't care about Infinite Crisis. I love Jim Lee, but that was one of those right books at the right time, I would say. The last one that happened was Truth. Is it Red, Black, and White? During Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I had number 1, and I had just on a whim, probably 6 months before the first episode. So that was another full run that I had. I had the full, was it 5 issues or 6 issues? I had all of them. And I looked at number 1, I'm like, oh, this is a 9.8, and I sent it in, and it came back a 9.6. But everyone was so infatuated with Falcon and Winter Soldier at the time as the second Disney Plus show that they were looking at it. And I sold that book like close to 9.8 value, I thought. And I just happened to have it slabbed, and it was like the only one on eBay at the time. And so somebody overpaid for it, which was great. So, of course, now the run is messed up, and that's number 1 is probably the key issue in that series. But it's gone. But again, it paid for all of the grading in that shipment. So this is Captain Marvel 29. She's kind of rotating her interests around from Rhodey now to Doctor Strange. And this book looks pretty clean. Every time I say that, I find something. I should just shut up and grade the books. Right there. Let's see if I can get it in the light. Yeah, hopefully you see it right there. There's definitely an indent. So this will be a pressing candidate to clean this up. It's probably going to end up being a 9.6 with a press. Corner looks good. Check the back. These Joywave covers, like seriously, I've seen this 1,000 times now. And this is where you get all the color rub on these modern books down here. Thanks to Joywave, you'll get down here, and you'll get this lifted off. I'm so over it. It looks pretty good. It's a 9.6 with a press. There's no other problems with this one that I can see. Just giving it one last like shine in the light here, and I like to move it back and forth on the light just over the cover here. It actually shows up better on the video than in person with the light, but it's got general wrinkling and everything, so press will clean that up anyway. So this will be a 9.6. Because CGC will find that one dent, and they'll just hammer you for it. So that's Captain Marvel. All right, I think I'll do one more book after this, and then I think I'm gonna call it here. I think my family's up for ready for breakfast, so we're gonna go make some breakfast. So let's get this one data entered, and I'll do one more. So this is 9.6. This has been a really great Captain Marvel run. Be interesting to see what the long-term ramifications are of the events in that book are. 630. Purchase things from another world. So this is where I wish there was a way to kind of bulk import. Thanks, Sleeping, for hanging out. Appreciate it, man. Have a good weekend. So this is where you lose a little bit of steam with organizing your collection like this, but it's so important. I'm so thankful later on when I go back to look at the data and try and find valuable books to grade and sell, or just identify as, hey, this is something important that you want to look at as part of your collection. But it's tedious. 630. Okay. Another world. Get that in here. And you know what? Actually, I think I may just end it right here. I feel like this is a good stopping point. Been an hour and 20 minutes in, 9.6. Let's check the things from another world stats real quick. Yeah, it didn't budge, 9.64. The chance for 9.8 did drop, even on the few that we added. So now it's just under 54% in this order. But appreciate you hanging out. Hopefully this was helpful. Thanks for Sleeping Comics for dropping in to add to the discussion. I really appreciate that. Anytime I'm doing a live stream, you're more than welcome to jump in and ask some questions or just comment if you see something on the book that maybe I missed. As I'm holding the book up, point it out and help me out with the grading. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. If you're hitting your LCS or going to cons, be safe, have fun, happy collecting, and see you next time.